Hello everyone, welcome to our May State TA Day webinar. It's been 2 months since we've seen you guys, so welcome back. We have a full agenda today, so we'll go ahead and get started with Karen and her team for the Emerging and Expanding grant, along with some updates. And can you guys confirm that you can hear my voice, see all the presenters on, and see our screen before we get started?
I gotta do this. I can't get it back a slide. Sorry. Okay. Of course, I'm having trouble with my slides. All right. We'll just keep. Yeah, here we go.
Keep going.
Try to get back to the beginning. I can't get it back.
Hold on 1 second, Karen. I don't know if everyone can see your screen or hear us. Just if one
and
of
I can't get my.
Could please type in the chat box that you can see our screen, see us, hear my voice.
We've got lots of responses in the question area that they can hear us.
All right, thank you guys. Appreciate it. Go ahead, Karen.
I'll try. Okay, thanks you guys. So welcome, and we did want to do just a quick update on our fantastic Emerging and Expanding grant. Most notable, I want to introduce our new grant project manager. I think a couple of you guys even know Melissa. So Melissa Frank-Williams joined us last week, or actually the week before now. And she will be taking on the lead on this particular grant, and so we're super excited about that. And I will just ask Melissa to say hello, and she's also going to present some data here shortly. But we'll move to our next slide, and Debbie's going to give us an update.
Hi, everybody. I've met most of you, but I'm Debbie Gray. I'm the Program Quality and Technical Assistance Manager with Child Care Licensing. And again, we're so very excited with our E&E grants. We just wanted to share a document with you. We've heard just a little bit of some councils had some difficulty getting a hold of their licensing specialist or just wanting to know who their licensing specialist was. So we will hand out this PowerPoint to everybody, but in this, there is a link to a document called Licensing Specialist. If you click on that, it tells you every zip code of the state and who the licensing specialist is under that zip code. And then if you scroll to the very bottom, it'll give you their cell phone number to contact. Also wanted to let everybody know that if you need to ever immediately contact licensing staff, if you need an immediate answer for something, you can call the 303-866-5948 number, and that's our supervisor and our licensing specialist on duty. So you can always call and ask to speak to the supervisor on duty. Again, if you have E&E grant questions, which we've been working collaboratively with Karen's team, and now we have Melissa to help us with this, which we are so excited about. But if you have questions, you can contact me. I'm Deborah.Gray, or Tanya Estrada, who's also on the line today. And we continue to work through all of our E&E grant questions together as a team. So that's all I have, Karen. Thank you. Karen, you're muted.
Very good. So we also wanted to share some of the statistics of the grant. So I'm going to turn this over to Melissa.
All right. Well, hi, everyone. I am really excited to be here. And I just wanted to give folks a little bit of a brief background. And I came from Boulder County. I was managing about 10 million in grants per year there. I also managed the Family Resource Network, of which our Early Childhood Council was a part in Boulder County. So shout out to Danielle. I see she's on the call. And, you know, it really has been a focus for me for quite some time around early childhood. I handled several different projects in Boulder County, and I just have a tremendous amount of respect for the work that you all do. And I very much look forward to working with all of you. And I will have an email soon, but in the meantime, I am very thankful for Debbie and Tanya and Karen to be able to pass things along to me. And I will be reaching out to you all with my new email soon. So stay tuned for that. A couple of things, as far as the E&E grant statistics go, so far we have about 36 eligible grants that have gone through, and it's totaling about 1.2 million. So folks might recall that the total amount in the pot is about 8.75. So, you know, we're moving along there. It's 1,121 slots. So some progress for sure across 17 counties and 16 early childhood councils. The other part of this is that there's about 109 grants still under review and representing 3.8 million. So we're working through those with the licensing specialists and the ECCs, and we'll keep folks updated as to where we are with all of those things as we go. And the good news here too is that's about 2,000 more slots that are represented through those potentially funded entities. So I think that's all I have for right now. I look forward to speaking with all of you and getting to know you all better moving forward. So thanks so much.
Thanks, Melissa. Does anybody have any questions or anything you guys want to bring up now, that anything you're struggling with or any successes that you're having that you want to share with your with this grant process?
Just go ahead and type it in the question box and we can unmute you if you'd rather share out loud. So we do have a question. It says, is there a way to see who applied from our counties? There is a report in Salesforce. It's E&E, it's under the ECC reports, and then it's just E&E grant applications, and pretty easy to find. You'll click that, and then it has, it's separated by council, but you'll have the county listed there as well if you're a council that supports many counties.
And I think Lilith is saying that there's a report in sugar. I'm not sure. Lilith, can you see those that are that have applied but have not been approved in sugar also?
Lilith sent a link, so we can follow in the follow-up email. We will send out that link. We do have
I see that. Yeah, go ahead.
We do have a comment. It says, coming from the San Luis Valley, we have had difficulty getting licensed and bonded bids. I was wondering if the rural areas are struggling with this at all. So remember,
yeah, let us know. Yeah, go ahead. I was just going to say, let us know if you have come across some good recommendations for getting bids, so we can, you know, certainly pass that on to everybody. And we've had a couple of questions come in about, you know, trying to get them. It's been hard to get them quickly, but remember, you guys can, if you can't get 3, you definitely can get 2. And really the license bonded piece is these are state funds, we have to follow state guidelines. And really it's for the protection of everyone. And so nobody ends up with a partial project or somebody who doesn't, you know, who starts and doesn't finish. So yeah, hopefully if anybody has any good tactics on that, we're happy to share those out.
Thanks, Karen. And then we have another question. It says, can you remind me, if you're denied, can you reapply?
Yes, you can. So once the application is marked ineligible within the data system, it basically reopens the application for that license number. So if they've either been marked ineligible or withdrawn, either way, because we have a few programs that withdrew, they can go back into the hub if they're ready to apply, because maybe they're doing a different project or have thought through it. Now they are going to be eligible. They can get back in and do an application. But if they have an application that's marked eligible, That's the only application they'll be able to submit. And if they have an application that's in process of being reviewed, they will not be able to get back in the system to edit those. So only if they've been denied or marked ineligible or marked withdrawn will they be able to reapply. And at any point in time, any point in time, there's some, technical issues or questions about technology or anything like that, reach out and we will, and Melissa's going to have, full access here shortly. We'll walk through those issues with you guys.
And anytime the application is under review and the budget needs to be amended, the licensing specialist does have the ability to upload the new budget. So you can work with your licensing specialist on that. We've encouraged in most scenarios for our licensing specialist to just keep the statuses under review. Especially we've had quite a few come in where they're going to be building a new building, but the building hasn't even started yet. So instead of marking those ineligible, we're just keeping them under review and giving them the time that they need to complete the construction.
And the biggest piece of that is getting the licensing paperwork in so we can get them a pending license number.
Yep. And we have to be able to see the building after it's been constructed to make sure it's a licensable space, to make sure it meets all of our requirements for the building itself.
And for those of you that
any
have
other
not
questions?
applied yet, this is it's really a group effort. That's why we have everyone involved. We have the program, we have the council, we have licensing, we have our QRS team. So they're not just going to get an email saying you were denied. There's going to be a conversation with the licensing specialist, and they might have ask more questions. I mean, we want these funds spent. We want them fully spent and appropriately. We're really helping everyone. It's not just a denial. So keep that in mind if you haven't had someone apply yet.
Yeah, and also too, if they're CSQI eligible, I know right now we're in that space where we're not, actually enrolling new people again until July 1, but that would be also a really good time to talk with them about maybe it's a family child care provider who really needs a playground, but they're not actually eligible for the E&E. We'd love for them to get engaged with the CSQI grant.
We do have a comment from Lilith that helps us out over with the EC Connect Sugar side. It says, the Sugar report shows all programs who have an eligible application and have either been sent an MOU or have an accepted MOU.
Yeah. And then the Salesforce report, just to tag on to that, actually will show all programs who've applied who are in review process. So that's that, it'll show you a little bit more detail or a longer list basically, because the Sugar side's going to just have the folks that have been marked eligible and are ready to go. The Salesforce side will have all providers and programs by county that have applied.
And the next question is there a way to remove other approved grants from the list of the E&E grants, specifically the relief grant or sustainability grant?
Oh, I don't know what your view is. Let us look into that to see if there's any way that you could see. I think there's a drop down. I think there's a list view where you can go just into E&E grants.
There is. I don't know.
It's in like the top left. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if councils if they have the same list, but I can sort them by sustainability grant or by the emergency relief grants or by the E&E grant.
Yeah. So try that first if you can't figure that out. Get on the phone and screen share with your coordinator or one of us or Melissa, and we'll see if we can walk you through that process.
Good question.
And I'll send out that link for you guys to the report, because I don't think you're looking at the correct report, Randy. Okay, and Stacy Petty says, yes, we can see the different list views. Thanks, Stacy. All right, you guys ready to move on?
Just one quick hats off to all of you guys. This has really been an amazing first couple of months with this. And it's just so exciting to see the results that we're seeing right now. And thank you so much for your incredible questions. It's really helped us get our feet planted on this. And while everything's not perfect, it certainly is moving along fairly well now. So again, don't hesitate to reach out if you need, just special help with something, because maybe it's your first grant. Just get on the phone with somebody and we will definitely walk you through that. But terrific job, everyone. I know you're working well with your licensing teams, and it's just been so much fun to watch this unfold. It's going to be an exciting time.
I agree with that, Karen. We are really appreciative of all the collaboration that licensing has had recently with our early childhood councils. So it's been great. I said this last time, but this really is one of my favorite projects, and I know it's all of our licensing specialists' favorite projects to be involved in this. So we're grateful.
We do have one more question. It says, I have a program that applied and received an email confirmation of what was of that, but was part of the glitch that meant the application was dropped. The application for Little Tots is not showing on the report. Should she reapply?
We can look into it, but I know when they had that glitch, that was unfortunately the solution was to reapply. So if I don't know whose question
we can
this
double
is,
check though to make sure it's not in the back.
The license number, we can look at it. But if you're not seeing it in Salesforce, probably we won't either.
Yeah, probably not. And yeah, we did send communication out, but if it's, one of those that just got missed, they missed the communication to reapply. We certainly apologize that work went, that work to apply the first time didn't land, but yeah, have them reapply. And if there's any glitch at all with that reapplication, then have them reach out to the help desk.
All right, thank you guys. Next we'll move along to an update on pre-licensing with Sybil Holmes.
Yeah, so hopefully we have Sybil Holmes and Emily Chavez with us today. So Sybil and Emily are going to be talking a little bit about our pre-licensing training, which Sybil is our instructional design person. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank on your title. Instructional designer. And then Emily Chavez is our lead licensing specialist. And so they're going to give us an update on the pre-licensing and our exciting orientation.
Thanks so much, Debbie. And I get it with stumbling over my title. I actually have to write it down to which team do I work on? Instructional Learning and Design team. It's with the Office of Early Childhood. I'm not sure how many people on this call I've met. I love doing Google Meets because we get to see people's faces, and now I just imagine you out there in the audience. But many of you might know my teams work from all of the amazing classes on the PDIS, the self-paced online classes. What you may not know is that we also do in-person instructor-led trainings, and so I was brought on because that's kind of my specialty, and my job for this past year has been putting together the new pre-licensing training. So as a part of that process, I kind of looked at the entire step-by-step process that any potential provider might take when they want to go into the business of having a family childcare home. And I don't think it would be a surprise to anyone to say that it's pretty complex. The first thing that we want people to do is read the rules, and I've been reading them for about 4 months now, and I still every day am texting Emily or Debbie with questions. So it's tough stuff. It's complex. And one of the sort of barriers that we noticed that people were having was even just getting to the starting line. So figuring out if they were able to come into compliance with the rules and regulations to take the next step to even applying for licensure. Applying for a license, that's another sort of roadblock. It's a tough process. Here at the state, we get to see the other end of it, where a lot of these applications get sent back because things aren't correct, they're missing information, and it just gets people started off kind of on the wrong foot. And, you know, with, I don't want to say like a bad taste in their mouth, but just, you know, not with this feeling of super happiness about the process and about the systems involved. So we were trying to solve for some of those problems. And as I was looking across the country, I noticed that a lot of states had an orientation. A lot of our early childhood councils in the state of Colorado here also have kind of like a 1-hour orientation. And it just seemed like a really good model to help that, I'll call it like a customer journey, to help those people who are interested in opening up a family child care home to get across that finish line, to figure out if they can do it and to understand the process of doing it. And so we sort of pitched this idea of an orientation to the licensing team, and they know. I mean, Debbie will nod her head in agreement. It's a hard process. It's hard. We know it, and it's hard. And so whatever steps we can take to help people through that process, we feel like we're going to have more people finish the race if we can get them even to start the race. And so Emily and I have worked over the past couple of months on putting together an hour-long orientation that's going to demystify the process and help people through the most challenging parts. We want to try to immediately get them connected, not just to licensing as a resource, but to their community, people like yourself, the community vendors and partners that are out there who have a passion for this work, a passion for the audience, and are there to help, because we know that providers that get connected to resources and other actual adult humans who love them and love the work are more successful. So we're excited to kind of get this orientation launched. We sent out an email and had a great response already. Many of the people that responded were actually people from early childhood councils. And so I'm going to pass it over to Emily so she can fill us in on kind of the, is she on the call, Debbie?
She is on the call. I don't know if she can unmute herself. That's what I wasn't sure.
We were gonna, I was gonna pass it over to Emily, and she'll talk about the different elements of how to sign up for a class, what it's gonna look like, how long it's gonna take, how we're gonna communicate with audiences. And I'm here if anybody has any questions, just reach out and I would be glad to touch bases. My goal is to kind of meet people from all over the state so we can have our finger on the pulse of what your particular audience is needing.
Monica, can you unmute Emily Chavez?
Yeah, I think they just unmuted me. Can you hear me now?
Perfect. Okay, welcome.
Thanks, Sybil. Yeah, Sybil and I have had a lot of fun putting this together. We're excited. And yeah, the response has been overwhelming. So our first orientation for potential providers is scheduled for Thursday, June 3rd. Because of the response, we ended up capping that because we want it to be kind of a smaller, more personal interaction between the lead licensing specialists and the providers. So we actually pulled several of you who had signed up for that. We actually pulled you and emailed you an invite for Wednesday, June 2nd as like a pre-screening. We thought that might be kind of a good idea, get some feedback from you guys through this orientation process. So that is Wednesday, June 2nd at 9 a.m. If you did not get an invite for that and you're interested, I'm going to put an invite in the chat here. I see that maybe they can possibly share that with everybody, and feel free to join that. And if that date doesn't work, we're going to record that and we can send that out to everybody. But we have added additional dates as well. It's on our website under the Licensing Administration tab under Family Child Care Homes, how to apply. There's a Google form that they can sign up on, and we're constantly adding dates to that. We have 3 right now for the month of June just because they filled up pretty quickly, and we added 1 for July. So we're going to wait and see how those fill up. But the dates are, again, June 3rd, June 12th, which is a Saturday from 10 a.m. to 11, and then June 28th, which is a Monday night from 6 to 7. So yeah, we look forward to seeing you next Wednesday, the 2nd, if you can join and provide your feedback to Sybil and I, and we look forward to collaborating with everybody on this. Thank you.
Yeah, we're really hopeful that this is going to help potential providers have a smoother path. So less sendbacks, they get their application in correct the first time, they understand the process of background checks, and they get connected to their local community right away to help them over these humps that we know can be difficult. Another thing is that we get to upfront information that's like right there at the right time, like the grant. So we're able to tell people right up front about grant opportunities that are there. So we're excited about it, and we're, like Emily said, looking forward to collaborating with our community partners.
And I think the other really exciting piece about this orientation is the family child care home potential provider can immediately meet a licensing specialist, and we can start off that relationship knowing that this is something that we're going to hopefully support you through this journey and work together on. So we're really excited to have them have immediate contact with us as well as the early childhood counsels.
Thank you guys so much. So we just had Sarah Jane Giraldi from the CCAP team want to make an announcement. So Sarah Jane, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. Hold on. Oh, it says you're self-muted, Sarah Jane. So go ahead and unmute yourself and you'll be able to speak to the group. Sarah Jane. Okay. So hold on one sec. She says she's not able to unmute. Okay, try now.
Unmute. There we go. Thanks, Monica.
Sure.
So I thank you. I'm so excited to be able to take this time. And I do want to share, we had our CCAP Chats users group meeting today with all of our counties, and we did share the information with them as well about this opportunity for providers who are interested in becoming licensing. So we're really trying to share that information out. What I want to share today is we've been working for a little over a year on increasing our CCAP fiscal agreements with our licensed providers. And we had a goal to be at 47% of our QRIS eligible providers by the end of June. We're just about 80 providers shy of reaching that goal. And so we're really trying to get a push in this last month to have counties and early childhood councils work together to do some outreach to get some additional CCAP providers. We just need 80 more statewide to meet our goal. We do have the fiscal agreement toolkit that we've been using. We've been uploading newly licensed reports every week so that counties and councils can access those newly licensed providers to outreach for them for a CCAP fiscal agreement. We have additional information in the fiscal agreement toolkit related to sort of the metrics, what they look like. We've got a special sort of revised SIM, Colorado Information Marketplace report that lists out the providers in all the counties, what their rating is, whether they have a fiscal agreement or not. And so we're just really hoping that we can get that extra help out there. And if you're not connected with your county, within the toolkit, we do have a contacts spreadsheet that has all of the county contacts statewide. And then we've also got early childhood councils statewide. You're welcome to go into there and update the information if that has changed or is different. But we're really trying to support the collaboration between the counties and the councils, and also get as many licensed providers with a fiscal agreement as possible so that we can support that access for our CCAP families, and also to support the providers' financial stability. We've heard a lot from providers that being associated with CCAP and being associated with subsidy has really helped during COVID, and we're hoping to increase and improve that relationship as well. Monica, I did drop the link to the fiscal agreement toolkit into your chat as well, which can be shared out. And then if anybody wants to get sort of up to date on the work that we've done and that sort of thing, we do have the fiscal agreement task group meetings folder that details everything that we've been doing since August of 2019. And so I'm just really excited and happy to see all of you and all of your excitement and to be a part of this rippling out and this progress. Are there any questions that I can answer about that process or about CCAP?
Thanks, Sarah Jane. If you guys have any questions, just go ahead and type them in the question box. And we can share out Sarah Jane's contact information if you guys think of something later on. Thanks so much. We do have a question for Sybil. Sybil, if you're still on, were you going to include a link for the orientation that councils can attend on June 2nd?
Yes, Emily was going to drop one of those into the chat.
Okay.
Yep, I did that. Thanks.
Sure.
And Monica, we were hoping you could share it afterwards with the group if you share resources afterwards.
Definitely will do.
Thank you.
Sounds great. All right, let's move on to our preschool development grant team. We have Angela and Kristen presenting on the small business and giving an update on that. Hello, ladies.
Hello, and John and Hannah, if you're on, you can turn on your cameras right now. Perfect.
Hello.
Kristen's going to share her screen first, and then we will hand it over to our partners in just a second.
And I am going to ask Monica to remind me how to share their screen because I'm in the share section and it's showing, thank you. You've made me the, okay, I got you now. All right. And so can you all just confirm that you are seeing the slides?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks again for having us today. We are going to mix up our presentation a little bit this month and have two of our partners come in and present a little bit more about our partnership with the Small Business Development Center Network. So Kristen, you can go to the next slide. Yes. And so we have John Hovey from the North Metro SBDC and Hannah Curtis from Front Range Community College. They are our two partners in the North Metro area, mostly Adams County, and they've been partnering wonderfully with the Adams County with ECPAC, and they've had a lot of experience with implementing business training over the last, it's been over 6 months. I can't even think of how long it's been, about at least 10 months now. And they are now specializing in all three of our focus areas for the childcare business training. So they started with an emphasis with family childcare homes, and they've now added curriculum around supporting childcare centers, as well as programs that are going through startup and expansion. But rather than steal their thunder, I'm going to hand it over to John and Hannah to tell you a little bit about the benefits of the training and what childcare programs should expect.
Great. I'm going to see if I can share my screen if it's all right.
Hold on, John. So you should receive like a little pop-up that says that we're making you the presenter. Okay, we can see your screen.
It's working. All right. Well, thank you for having us on. I'm excited to be here. My name is John Hovey, and I'm here with my colleague Hannah Curtis, as you heard. And yeah, we're just going to spend a few minutes talking to you about childcare business fundamentals, which is the term that we've used for this program. Not all of you might be familiar with what the SBDC is, so I just wanted to take a moment and explain that. You know, we're all familiar with the Small Business Administration, the SBA, especially in the last year. It's been very active. And the SBA is, of course, tasked with supporting small business in the United States. It's a federal agency. It's a cabinet level position. One of its offices is called the Office of Small Business Development Centers. And under that office, there are 64 sort of regional small business development centers. We call them lead centers throughout the country. There's over 900 small business development centers that act as a local office, almost like a local office of the SBA throughout the country. And in our case, we are the North Metro SBDC, and we're affiliated with the Colorado SBDC network. So in Colorado, we have one lead center. We have 15 full-time SBDCs, and our mission is to support small business to develop and grow. In our case, we represent Thornton, Westminster, Broomfield, Arvada, Brighton, Commerce City, those areas, and we're housed at Front Range Community College. And in this slide, you can kind of see just, these are our consultants, and they meet one-on-one for free for a confidential consulting service with small business to help them out with anything in need that can help them. We also offer free and low-cost training programs, everything from how to use different business software to how to make a business plan, how to sell your business, and so forth. So that's sort of where we come from and what we do. All right, and Hannah, if you're on, do you want to talk a little bit about our program?
Great, yeah, thanks John for that overview. I'll talk a little more specifically about how we've been supporting the childcare industry through our programming. And it's really been a great collaboration and partnership between the Early Childhood Councils and Office of Early Childhood and the SBDC. So we love that we've been able to come together to support the businesses. And when we started thinking about resources for childcare businesses, the problem we were hearing was that childcare providers are very skilled in their professions, and they have great support through the Department of Human Services and the Early Childhood Councils, as we just mentioned, but they were lacking some of the business fundamentals and important business skills and knowledge to sustain a profitable business. In our pre-course surveys that we send out, we collect data on the participants in the courses, and often what we hear are things like, I collect my receipts in a shoebox, or I don't really know my annual revenue, and my biggest business stressor is just managing the finances. And we hear over and over that people get into this industry because they love kids, or they want to stay home with their own kids. There's several reasons, but what we don't hear often is, I love the business side of being a provider, and I see myself as an entrepreneur. So with the support of Kristen and Angela, we thought we can address this issue. And so what that has looked like for us is this programming. It's mostly been 6-week courses where we meet once a week after work. It's been virtually through Zoom for a couple hours every week, and we go through some of these topics you see on your screen there. And we have experts in the field come in and give presentations and material on those topics, with the idea that then the participants in the course can afterwards follow up with those professionals for that one-on-one consulting that John had mentioned. One of the aspects that isn't listed on this slide specifically, which has been really helpful though, is also having licensing specialists come in and give that support as well. So we've been really thankful for all of the expertise that we've been able to offer in these different areas. And we do really believe that it's the pairing of this collaborative classroom learning with the one-on-one coaching that can lead to a lot of positive business changes. So these are some of the courses that we have run, and just a few that we have coming up. As Angela mentioned earlier, in our first 2 courses were specific to home providers, and this one we just finished up last week was specific to centers. So we did have a good mix of centers and homes in that one as well. And what we find really encouraging about these courses, as you can see, is that each time our full participation enrollment has increased. So we hope that that will continue for our coming programming as well. The next one we have coming up in June is a leading edge startup essentials. So it'll be specifically focused, as Angela mentioned, on that third kind of category of businesses for those startups, those who are interested in starting a childcare business. And Sherry Valdez with the San Luis Valley has taken the leading edge framework course before, and so we appreciate her giving us her ideas on how that has benefited the childcare industry. We're really looking forward to that one. And we hope to be able to offer some programming specific on the financial side as well. So cash flow and putting profits first, some of those areas that are not, that we have heard feedback from that would be helpful for our providers. So some of our upcoming courses there. And the exciting thing about this programming is it is offered statewide. So we are not limited to our own geographic region. As John mentioned, we serve the North Metro area, but this programming is open statewide. So if there's not an SBDC in your area that is offering childcare programming, you are welcome to reach out to any of these centers that you see listed there. They are offering programming, or our center as well, so that you can get the support for the courses or for consulting that your providers need in your area. So just real quick on some of the stats on the consulting. Since starting in September of 2020, 36 of the participants in our courses have sought out the one-on-one consulting for a total of 50 sessions. So we really love to see that extra step being taken, and that's really where a lot of the impact is made in their businesses. And just a quick little lens into the view of the customer. This is from one of our most recent participants in the last course that we just had, Marie Pierre. She says, as a home child care provider transitioning into a child care center in 2022, I really appreciated all the presentations from professionals you provided and the online resource you made available to us, not only during the classes, but later too. Thank you for providing free access to professional consultants who generously share their expertise. I've appreciated every minute of this class series. And the online resource she mentions is a learning management system that we use that houses all of the class recordings and presentations, homework assignments, resource guides, a lot of helpful material that they have all in one place, and can then download all of that so they can refer back to it as they carry on in their business. And I think next we have just a quick video.
Really looked at it as a business. I looked at it as I was just grandma and I stayed home and I decided to take care of children to give them a good foundation for life. That class really did a lot of things for me, more than just giving me knowledge about how to, get insurance for my business, or how to get an LLC, how to do my taxes, what is a write-off, how to measure my house, things like that, which were very important, but it gave me so much more than that. It totally changed my whole mindset about childcare and having a business. It really changed everything in the way that I thought of myself. I found my self-worth through that class in my business. And that was incredible. That was just simply incredible. I used to say I would love to do that. And now I say I am going to do that. I know that I can do anything I want. I just have to do it. I have to set that dream, set that goal, and make that goal happen. And it's already happening. So I'm just gonna finish it.
So that was Penny. She was from our very first course that we ran. We just love hearing her experience in the course, and love to hear some of those tangible outcomes that can come from the course about, getting your structure set, and just a lot of great things that Penny was able to experience that we hope all of our participants can experience. So as I mentioned earlier, our next course is starting in June. And if you are interested, you are all welcome to sit in on a session to see what the experience is like. We would welcome any of the providers in your area. Like we said, we can serve statewide. So if you know a provider that could benefit from a course like this or from consulting, then we are welcome to get them connected, and we can also help you get connected to the local SBDC in your area. So I believe that is all we have. If there are any questions, we're welcome to take any of those. And of course, you can always reach out to us there at our contact information.
Thank you both for giving that overview this afternoon. And then Monica, is it possible for Kristen to be able to present again?
Sure, hold on one sec. And we don't have any questions so far for the presenters.
Yeah, and while Kristen's pulling up her slides, that's a great segue from Hannah to talk a little bit about some of the funding we have available to support early childhood councils to participate. So I'm going to go a little bit out of order, Kristen, so I'll talk a little bit about the ECCs and then we can jump back to the upcoming courses. But for councils who want to attend the trainings, we do have some funding available to support that. So you can attend, we have funding for every single council to attend at least one training series. So not just one course, but you would be able to attend the entire series, you know, at some point throughout this calendar year. So if you can't make one of the ones that Hannah mentioned today, we continue to publish out the list in the Early Childhood Council newsletter weekly as we have new courses come available. So you can keep your eye on that and ping Kristen and I if you see one that your staff would be available for. And it can be a rotation of your staff members that attend these training series. So it doesn't have to be the commitment of one person to go to the training. So you could have your council director go to one and a quality coach go to the next. You know, if it's a 4-week or 6-week training series, again, you can just choose whichever person on your staff that can attend that date. And we just want you to have the ability to audit that and provide your childcare expertise to folks in the classrooms and let them know about the quality resources that come from councils. And again, the SBDC partners are lending all of their business resources and expertise in our direction. So it's a really wonderful partnership. And again, we just want to support everyone's participation. Select councils have been able to consult on the actual building of the curriculum. We have a little less funding for that, so unfortunately we couldn't include everybody, but there may still be an opportunity for a couple of ECCs to participate as we have a few new SBDCs participating in the strategy. So actually the list is a little longer now, Hannah, which is very exciting on SBDCs that are going to participate in child care business training, which is again just a testament to the need across the state and the excitement at the local level that both SBDCs and councils want to support this work, and knowing that the child care businesses need as much support as they can, especially as we're, now that we can call it pandemic recovery, as we're looking forward to what possibilities lie for their programs. And so we will be able to share links to all of these resources to any council that wants to participate. We do ask that if you're going to go to a training series that you complete the prior approval form, just so we know how many hours you're requesting. We just have to track our PDG budget a little closely for this. And then we would send you an invoice document that you would submit to our office for that reimbursement after you attend. So we can go back a slide, Kristen, really quickly so we can let folks know. We have 2 training series that are launching in June, one with North Metro, as Hannah mentioned, and the other with East SBDC, and that's starting sooner actually, and on June 8th. And both are going to be running on Tuesdays through June, and in North Metro's case through July as well. So again, if you have some availability of staff on your teams, please reach out to Kristen and I, and we'd love to match you up with these folks if you're not already in contact with them to participate. And then I think I will pass it back to Kristen to close.
Yeah, and we will go ahead and wrap up because I know we're running short on time, but just as a reminder, we did just select the most recent cohort of our PDG Inclusion and Universal Design project. Really exciting to see the geographic diversity and the diversity in provider types in this cohort because we were able to expand to 48 providers. I did send emails to all of the councils that have providers participating. But certainly, as Angela mentioned, everything on this presentation is hyperlinked. You can click on the link for cohort 2 selected and see more details about those providers as well as where they are. And if it looks like there's a star on your community and I didn't email you or you didn't receive that, just reach out to me. But we'll make sure that we send this presentation to Monica so she can get it out to you all. And thanks so much.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Next up, we have Lisa Matter, and she will present on the PDIS rebuild. Lisa, are you here with us? Give us just 1 second.
I am here. Can you give me Slideshare, Monica?
Yes.
Great.
Found you. Okay.
Okay, let's close that one. Now tell me if you're seeing my notes or slides.
Notes.
Okay, wrong page. Let's see. Let me, people can see your screen. Click to stop sharing. Okay, how do I pick on that button to pick the right one? Sharing, got it. Okay, share my screen. I have to pick which screen I want. This one. All right, now slides are showing.
Yes, they are. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. It's nice to follow after Angela and Kristen, because we're still talking about things that are funded by the Preschool Development Grant. And I think sometimes we forget that it's only been 6 years that we've had a professional development information system, and that it's this big injection of funding that came through the Preschool Development Grant that's kind of brought these things together. I am going to talk about the PDIS rebuild. That is going to be going live very soon. So just as I'm getting started here, I want people to just put into the chat your biggest question, or maybe the most confusing rumor you've heard about the upcoming transition of the professional development information system as we get started. And I've got just a few slides in here that are already approved preschool development grant slides. And just to contextualize where the PDIS is going, as Kristen and Angela mentioned, the big goal, of course, is that children and families experience a smooth and connected system, so that, like this little baby on the Colorado Shines Brighter plan, their joy and wonder and curiosity is preserved, so that they're still ready for school when they enter kindergarten. And all of our systems are hopefully built to ensure that, but we know that they're not all yet working. Because if they would, we'd have, we'd have those third grade reading scores and those kindergarten entry scores that matched the school readiness that we know that children are coming to the world with. So I want to just contextualize the PDIS rebuild is part of a bigger investment in a roadmap in all kinds of information technology solutions. It's not by itself, but the people who are experiencing it directly that you support, it does feel like it's just that one thing. But it is part of all kinds of things that are working to make the system more smooth for children and families, so that families can really focus on the thing that matters, their interactions with their children. Likewise, the PDIS itself, as we kind of narrow this funnel down, is part of a workforce data system that we're going to discuss today, that hopefully its intention is to better support the educators so that they too can focus their time and attention where it matters most, on the interactions with children and families. So we have we'll send these slides out to you later, because I know that some of you are on a small screen and these are probably really detailed, but I do want to point out that the PDIS rebuild, the contract to support this, was executed in December. So this is an entire system being rebuilt between December and June. And it's expected to launch in the next 3 weeks. So that's a really short time frame. We're not going to end up with Amazon. We certainly didn't have Amazon before, and we're not going to have it now, but we're going to have a much better system. And that's one of the messages that we want to make sure you carry to the community as this big transition happens. So we have some maps for this smooth and connected system where parents, educators can focus on their interactions with children. But what we're talking about today is the transportation, the car that we're gonna all get in together and drive there. 6 years ago, we kind of transitioned from a buggy and a horse, those paper processes, keeping track of everything on paper, applying for credentials on paper, to maybe a Model T. It runs by itself, it lives in one place.
And now we're going to buy a new car, but we're still going to be driving a car. So I want to just keep that that frame for everybody as we think about the new parts of the PDIS that are going to be happening. The current PDIS is going to go back into the shop and go dark. We hesitate to say an exact date because we never know if that it'll change by a little bit, but that you will get email communication that will confirm that date, but it's probably right around the end of the first week of June. And that is so that we can migrate all the data that's in the current PDIS to the new PDIS, where data such as course completions, credential levels, some of the things that we couldn't see, and then that will launch in the new system. And we know that you all are the one-stop mechanic. You're the detailer, the gas station that the workforce goes to get their questions answered. So we want to make sure that you have your questions answered. And again, so put those questions in the chat regarding what you need to know most about the new PDIS. From the time that the old system launched through now, we have been gathering your feedback. Sometimes it's little feedback, sometimes it's really big feedback, like we really have to get this credential working again, and that all of those pieces have been important to this process. Lost my place. I'm coming right back in. And what I wanted to say there, kind of following this message of the car, is that some places the things that we wanted to do were like adding a tow package to a Model T, and it just wasn't going to work. And some things were like oil changes and new brakes that we've gone along and done as the system has grown over the last couple of years. But this transition is a big step, still a car, but it's another car. This system still is going to be a place where professionals can get training, where they can meet their qualifications. It's still going to be a place where you can apply for credentials. And so we want to make sure that this message is still the message that you have and the message that you're able to share with the community as you share these messages out with the people that you serve. And again, the date, you're going to hear these things a couple of times because I want to make sure that everybody has all of these messages. When you have questions, or when the people you serve have questions, the new system is going to launch in June, and everybody who's in the current system will transfer over to the new system. So I want to make sure that everyone understands in this process that it's not the same kind of getting a brand new system the way it was 6 years ago when you had to build a new account, but you're going to transfer over when that new system launches. Many of you may have participated in some of the work groups that drove this work. That's where, again, little pieces were getting fixed all along, and then big improvements are getting made as a result of the work groups that met in 2019. So it's pre-pandemic. The new system is going to be, these are again messages that we want you to be able to share out, and so that we can all be on the same page about. The new system is designed to be user-friendly. There were some parts that weren't as intuitive as we would have liked them to have been in the current system. It is going to be a reliable system. Like I said, it's not Amazon. It's not going to wake up and know what you talked about, like your Alexa devices, and say, wouldn't you like this training? But you'll be able to set up playlists where you can continue training based on training that you've already taken. There will be a simplified credential and licensing qualification process in the system, and that's a little bit newer. Part of that is new and part of that is old, so I'm going to say a little bit more about that in just a minute. And then we're also going to provide guidance on how to meet those credential requirements within this system and the qualification requirements. Just like the old system, finding the information you need will be quick and easy to do in the new PDIS, and we'll be here to help. One of the big changes, and this is again, was always the long view, was that our professional development system would allow those educators to focus on what matters most, their interactions with children and families. And one of the steps in that direction is that the licensing qualifications and the professional credential will be aligned in one place. There will be a pre-check where you can check, I'm this close, how close am I to a qualification? How close am I to a credential? Am I eligible to apply for one of these things? So that's one of the pieces that will be new in the system and will align the pieces of work a little bit better. The new credential will have simplified scoring. This was one of the places where we had taken that horse and buggy and built it into the Model T system of the old PDIS, where some of the engine of that, literally we call it the scoring engine, was confusing and hard to, it didn't transfer well, and that's part of the reason that it's been challenging. So the scoring for the Credential 3.0 will be simplified. One of the key points is that points for college coursework will never expire. And then Pyramid Colorado modules and EQIT coursework will be designated as a special kind of formal education called training of special recognition. The number of points will be smaller, but there will be no expiration on those points. So those are some pieces. I do want to say that we've been testing the new scoring engine on taking people's real accounts and testing them through the new system. And we're not seeing a lot of loss or gain of credential levels. So we think it's still a good scoring engine. It's just not exactly the same and not as difficult. The competencies for early childhood educators and professionals have been updated. They're more clearly describing culturally responsive knowledge and skills, and they've also really been simplified to, again, hone our focus in on the interactions between children and their caregivers. And I'm going to pause there to give Karen just another, I think this is your slide, Karen, to say, compare, here's what's going on with the PDIS, here's those impacts with QRIS, knowing these pieces.
Yeah, so thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that. The QRIS system, and I've got dates in here that were originally told to me, so just know that these could shift slightly, but these are the plan dates where the PDIS will go down and the data will be transitioned to the new center. And right now the plan dates are June 9th through the 13th. 2 of those days are weekend days, but that does mean 3 days. Both of these systems will be down for those integrations. A couple of things that are happening with programs and the ratings. Programs in April and May ratings, of course, they're getting a little bit, April's coming out Friday, tomorrow. If they have any appeals, is what I'm trying to say, to their workforce around the credential, we will be asking them to go to the new PDIS system, and they will be asked to apply for a Credential 3.0. How it was working initially is that you've got a credential, you upload a few more documents, it gets rescored. In the new data system, because the scoring is much simpler, they'll just they will upload documentation and apply for Credential 3.0, and that's how we're going to have to handle any appeals for workforce for April and May sites, just because we don't have the option to go back into the legacy system once the data is pulled. For June programs, they're not going to have, and they're in the rating window, they're not going to have access to PDIS functionality until mid-June. They have been communicated to about this. These programs are going to need to apply for their Credential 3.0, or they'll use their existing credential that will port over to the new system. But if they want a higher credential level or think they have worked to get to a higher credential level, we'll also ask them to apply for the 3.0. And we are giving these programs an extension in June because of the time that they have not had to access the PDIS system. And then, of course, programs rating in July. They will be opening here June 1st. So again, they will also have a little bit of a shortened time period, but only 2 weeks, of which they will not be able to access the PDIS system. We will send communication out to them on next Thursday, June 1st, when their rating window opens, to let them know that their workforce activities will be in the new PDIS system. And I just wanted to take one more minute to say, April, May, and June programs were given communication that the individual professional development plan and the self-assessment will not be scored in QRAS. Basically, it means they'll automatically get the points because we don't have a way to just zero out a score. But because there's been challenges with the existing system in those particular areas, and for June programs in particular, they're right in the middle of 2 system switchovers. We did not want them to have to go through that process and try to navigate alternative processes during this time. So they have been communicated with that those scores won't be penalized for any of that. But July programs will be pretty much back on schedule. They will be scored for individual professional development plans. Again, those will be done in the new system, as well as their self-assessments. I don't know, Lisa, if you wanted to take, maybe if we have time, to take 1 or 2 minutes to talk about the self-assessment being streamlined.
For sure. Yep. The self-assessment is probably 1,000% better. One of the key updates, and I'm sorry, I don't actually know. Monica's going to tell me when I'm totally cut off. The self-assessment is about, it's fewer than 35 questions compared to the 128 questions that we had in the previous self-assessment. And it is really asking people to say, based on this competency, what am I looking for? More learning, more knowledge, more coaching, or am I really ready to start teaching others? So it's really from a strengths-based perspective. It's been simplified to kind of remove, and again, nice to follow Angela on this, to remove some of the things that are really programmatic, not educator competencies. So it's really pretty focused on the educator.
I do see a question from Karen, who had a couple of questions about the appeal process as well as receiving copies of the communications. And so the appeal process will still follow its same process. So once ratings are released, they have 30 days to schedule and a consultation. And once they have their consultation, they have 10 days to appeal anything that they want to appeal in the rating process. So from that point, then if we actually have to tell them to go to the new system to apply for the Credential 3.0, they will be given the time that they need to do that. So once we have somebody in the appeal process, we just hold everything stable in the data system through checkboxes and things. Once the appeal is finalized, that's when everything gets released. So none of those dates will change for programs, and they will get the time that they need to finish that. As far as councils receiving copies of the communication, you can see those copies of the communication in the account records for your, I believe you can. I'll just make sure that the coordinators can confirm that. But so when we send communication out to programs, the communication gets attached to their account record. So you can see that communication within the Salesforce system. And if I'm not right about that, you guys let me know, and we're happy to share out a copy of those within this webinar. So, but that's generally, we have been sending communication almost on a regular basis just because there's been something going on with either PDIS delays or PDIS had the issue with self-assessments for some programs, not all programs. So we have been sending communications out, and you can find those in the Salesforce system. So that just reminds me, if you have not gone into Salesforce and put your name in as the QI Navigator, QI Navigators do get the communications that go out to programs. So those reminder letters and things that go out when somebody's rating is going to expire, as long as your name is in the data system. So yeah, if you haven't done that, update your fields for your programs. Yeah, I'm looking to see if there's any other questions. Lisa, do you know when providers will get communications about the new processes?
I would say those are coming, they're sort of stacking up right now, one at a time, and we should expect some this week and some next week. There's going to be, the first communications are going to be the transition. Key among those are make sure that you are completing all of your coursework that you have in the current PDIS, because anything that isn't completed won't transfer over.
Right.
That's one key thing. As I look in a lot of people's PDIS accounts, people want to take so much PD, and they've got it lined up there, and they're so excited about it. But you'll be able to find it again. Everything that you want is going to be there, and we will be providing how-to guides and videos. Frequently asked questions, we'll send this link out afterward. That FAQ has already been started. So again, that's where we wanted those questions from you, so we can make sure we're getting the right questions on that FAQ document. And then the other key thing I think to remember is when the new system launches, you will have an account already. You will have to make a new password. So don't set up a new account if you had an old account. And so those are kind of the two key things. Finish your courses and set up the new password, but not a new account. And then, yeah, any other questions that can be answered that you're kind of hearing from the field, get those to all of us, and we'll make sure they're on that FAQ document for everybody to access. Because if you have a question or someone in the community has a question, probably everybody does.
And Julia just put into the chat that the communication is going out today. Yay!
Oh,
I know people are going to be excited about that, because, yeah, I think there's rumors out there and there's word on the street that things are happening, and I think people are either excited or they're worried. But I think that's going to be great. Thank you, Julia, for letting us know that.
Yeah, yeah. So it's still the same system. It's just going to be new and better. So thank you. And again, any questions, definitely shoot those to all of us. We're all ready to make sure the questions get answered so that the community can keep doing their good work.
Thanks, Lisa. Thanks, Karen. So we went over implications to QRS for workforce appeals and all that. I think we've kind of bundled this whole presentation into like 3 agenda items. So just want to make sure we covered everything you guys wanted to, Karen and Lisa. Yep.
I think we had potentially added some information about possibly talking about the QRS refresh, but really we're focused on getting PDIS up and running right now, and we'll have additional information on QRS as we're still working really hard to try to get to that October release date. So
yeah, I would echo that, Karen. That PDIS, it's a big transition, and it's going to positively impact all of the rest of the systems, but we'll need everybody to be sharing these same messages.
Thank you, guys.
One more thing, we will also be presenting this information, maybe even in a little bit more depth, at the June 4th coaches meeting, so that they have a good feel and grasp for what's going to be changing and what's going to be staying the same. So look forward to that if you are going to attend that meeting.
And we do have a question about the slides. I will be able to send out all the follow-up items by the end of today, if not first thing tomorrow morning. Takes a while to download the video. That's the only reason why. So you should have them available for your Monday presentation for sharing. And just a few reminders. Remember the date. It's May 27th, which means it's almost the end of the fiscal year. I said that not condescendingly. I had to remind myself of that, of what date it is. So just keep in mind all the invoices will be due usually that first week, kind of 4th of July time. And then if you can't submit them by then, we will have to do accounts payable. You just need to let us know what the amount you'll be billing for. We'll send out those specific dates, TBD, but usually it's that first week around 4th of July for the last invoice, and then that second week for the amounts. Any other updates from my team? Any more questions from anyone attending the webinar? All right, thank you guys so much. We'll send you those specific dates for the invoices later on. And then we do have a question, when will we hear about funding coming to councils from CRRSA? Karen, do you know that? Might have to get back to you on that. All right, thank you guys so much. Have a good rest of your afternoon and a happy Memorial Day weekend. Take care.
Sorry, I was muted.
Oh, go ahead, Karen. We're still on.
Well, just in case anybody's hanging on, I just wanted to give a quick update. I do know that the CRRSA, the funding that we were aware of is over in the legislature right now, getting the spending authority worked through. And so we know for sure we should have something no later, well, hopefully around mid-June, just because that is when the legislation ends. And if we, aren't expecting any worries with that, we just have to go through that process. So more to come, and of course we'll share as soon as we know, because we are just as anxious as you guys are to get that going. So thanks for asking that, Lisa. And,
all right, thank you guys.
And Stacy. Yeah. Talk to you soon.
Bye.